This episode of the Ageless and Awesome podcast is sponsored by the Radiant Reset Hormone Detox Guide for Perimenopausal Women. As a woman in the modern world, our hormones are taking a battering. They're impacted by the food we eat, the toxins we're exposed to, such as when we eat out of plastic takeaway containers, or even worse, reheat food in them. Please don't do this. If you're handling FPOS receipts, filling the car with fuel, eating non-organic produce that hasn't been washed effectively, plus so much more things add to our toxic load every day. Even though our bodies are designed to effectively manage toxins, they haven't evolved as quickly as our toxic world has, unfortunately. So our body does need support. Symptoms such as stubborn weight gain, fatigue, disrupted periods, irritability, and gut health issues can be a sign that you'd benefit from a gentle detox. And that's why I developed the Radiant Reset Hormone Detox Guide for Perimenopausal Women. This free guide has an abundance of information to get you started on your very own DIY detox. And if you'd like to upgrade to VIP, it's only $47 for a limited time. I used to sell this program for $247. The upgrade gives you the recipes, including plenty of plant-based options, the meal planner, the shopping list template, the video workshop, and so much more. Click the link in the show notes to learn more now. Take care of your hormones. They are a critical part of your health as a woman. Hi, I'm Susie Garden, and this is the Ageless and Awesome podcast. I'm an age-defying naturopath and clinical nutritionist, and I'm here to bust myths around women's health and aging so that you can be ageless and awesome in your 40s, 50s, and beyond. The Ageless and Awesome podcast is dedicated to helping women through perimenopause and menopause with great health, a positive mindset, and outrageous confidence. Hit subscribe or follow now, and let's get started. Hello, gorgeous one, and welcome to this week's episode of the Ageless and Awesome podcast. This week, I'm kind of taking a little bit of a deviation from normal programming, mainly because everyone around me is getting sick. And like really sick, and not necessarily just with COVID. I was speaking to one of my neighbors this morning, and she and her husband have been sick for like 4 weeks. She was saying, because he's a doctor, they've tested for everything, and the only thing they've tested positive for is the common cold, and they're really sick. So I've had a number of other people around me with COVID, with other respiratory viruses, and I just thought, you know what, and maybe I should touch wood while I say this, I really don't get sick. And there's a lot of things that I do in terms of prevention to help with that. So I just thought I would kind of do a PSA and talk about that today. It's a bit more general naturopathy and nutrition rather than perimenopause. However, it is important to notice if you're in your perimenopause years is that the fluctuating estrogen during perimenopause can actually impact your immunity. So it is relevant from that point of view. So some of these tips that I'm about to give may be very handy for you if you're in these years, just to really give yourself that extra layer of protection, particularly if, like me, a lot of people around you are getting sick and you're not yet sick. I'm going to break this up into 2 sections today. So the first section is all about prevention, and then some tips of what to do if you get sick. So some of these prevention tips you might feel like, how is this relevant to a cold or to some sort of respiratory virus? Well, stay tuned. I'm going to start with gut health, right? Because there's actually a pretty significant part of your immune system that's located in your gut. So if your gut health is not great, that may impact your immunity. So if you are someone that has issues with bloating, constipation, diarrhea, mucus or blood on the toilet paper, things like that, even things like skin rashes, because they're often closely linked to gut health, then you may wish to get that looked at and do some things to really improve your gut health. It doesn't really take a lot depending on what's going on, but it's a really important part of your immune system. So that would be a hot tip. Number 2 is stress management. Now, this feeds a little bit into number 1 because, of course, we have our gut-brain connection. And if our gut health is not great, then that is going to impact our ability to handle stress. Also, if we've got a lot of stress going on, that is going to impact the gut. And you may not be able to change some of the stressors going on around you, but you can totally learn how to regulate your nervous system. And that can be through using breathing. That can be through doing activities that bring you joy. It can be by doing a formal kind of meditation practice. It can be a gratitude journal. It can be just journaling generally. So many things you can do to regulate your nervous system so that your stress management does improve, and therefore your ability to manage that stress and your perception of that stress is improved. And the way I assess stress in my clients, because obviously it's very subjective, is I will ask, if you could rate your stress out of 10, with 10 out of 10 being the most stress you can imagine and 1 out of 10 no stress at all, where do you sit? And that could be today, that could be over the last 7 days. Generally, that's probably the most relevant questions or time periods, I should say. And if you're a 3 out of 4, that is ideal, because you do need a little bit of stress to kind of get you going for most of us. A stress of 1 to 2 often means people are a little unmotivated, and that can be a sign that there are some brain chemicals that aren't working quite well. But if you're a 5 or over, there's some things that you can do to help reduce that so that your stress perception is 3 to 4. Because remember, we all have different things going on in our lives, and something that I might consider to be a 9 out of 10 stress, someone who has a better stress resilience may call that a 5. So that's why the rating system I find really valuable, because it will be according to your scale, not according to anyone else's. So stress management, super important when it comes to prevention of illness. Number 3 is a pretty basic one, which is hand washing and sanitizing. So I've been doing this for decades because I'm a former theatre nurse, so I see germs everywhere. And whenever I come home after being out anywhere, even if I'm just ducking down to the shops to grab a couple of things, I will always wash my hands properly when I get back home. In fact, when I get back in the car, I sanitize immediately and I've only been doing this since COVID, actually. It's not something I've been obsessed with for decades, but the hand washing, yes. The sanitizing, not so much. But we just always inadvertently touch surfaces, and like touching a fridge or opening a door or all that sort of thing. I think it's not harmful to wash your hands whenever you come back in from being out in the world. I think that really can help a lot, the prevention of sickness. Also, keeping your hands away from your face, because a lot of these viruses are they get into your body through either your mouth or your nose. So if you can keep your hands away from your face when you're out, that will help as well. Tip number 4 is keeping hydrated, and it's particularly challenging for many people in winter. In the Glow Protocol, I'm always asking people to hydrate at a level of 35 mils of water per kilo of body weight. And it's really important to know what your water intake should be. Now, for those of you that are not on the Glow Protocol, you can hydrate using other things other than water, such as, herbal teas, such as putting some fruit or some herbs in your water, slices of ginger in your water, all those sort of things. But also just, keeping track of how much water you drink, whether it's how many glasses you drink, or if you're drinking out of a bottle, know how much liquid is in your bottle, and then you can count that. Obviously, caffeinated beverages don't tend to count in that water tally, so sorry about that. But certainly, like herbal teas are fine, they're not caffeinated. So hydration is king to keep your body working properly. Sunlight is tip 5. Sunlight, super important for vitamin D, obviously, for activating vitamin D, but also it just makes us feel good. It lifts our spirits. It helps with stress management. Generally, to be in sunlight, you're outside. But of course, I mean, I get plenty of sun through my window. But I really notice a difference between the sun on my skin through my window versus being outside. So if you can get outside, there's so many great benefits to it. Just getting 10 minutes twice a day on unsunscreened skin will be ideal for helping with your vitamin D levels. And I always recommend to clients that you expose parts of your body that you don't normally have exposed, such as your back, your tummy. This is, exposed in winter, just because, especially being a Queenslander, and I've had it rammed into me since I was a kid, the old slip, slop, slap. For my Northern Hemisphere listeners, that's all about sun protection. So wearing a hat, slapping on sunscreen, and wearing a shirt. So it's always about being covered. But obviously we have a lot of issues with vitamin D deficiency because of that in Australia. And so, yeah, some of your skin that doesn't get a lot of sun, deliberately exposing that for 10 minutes twice a day should be enough. To be honest, there's no research around the exact right amount of time to do it, but that seems to be a length of time that is reasonable and it's not going to cause skin damage from the sun's rays. Tip 6, this is a nutrition one. Eating lots of orange veggies and greens and fruits. So the orange veggies is an interesting one because generally speaking, things like your orange veggies are really in season in a big way in the winter months. And this is a really important kind of principle of nutrition, is eating seasonally is generally going to be better for your body. When you eat seasonally, you're more often going to be able to get those foods fresher. They're not going to have been sitting in storage for long periods of time. Like I'm talking 9 months or longer for some of our fresh, in inverted commas, veggies and fruits. So if it's seasonal, then you'll be getting them, really, really quickly. They're not going to have been sitting in storage. And also they're not going to be coming from overseas. So again, there's all of that transport, all of that time out of the ground reduces some of the nutrients, particularly your antioxidants in your whole foods. So it's really important eating seasonally for that point of view, but also generally the foods that are available in certain seasons are better for us during those seasons. And definitely when it comes to orange, foods like pumpkin and carrots and sweet potato, things like that, awesome. Greens are great, again, for antioxidants, for boosting our iron. Iron is really important for our immune system. And also fruits of any kind, really, but obviously your high vitamin C fruits like strawberries, any of your other berries, actually, tomatoes, oranges, and other citrus, things like that.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
How would you like to have increased energy, balanced hormones, glowing skin, and your ideal weight in just 3 months? Sounds awesome, right? Imagine having your very own hormone balancing and weight loss strategy totally personalized to you based on your body biochemistry to release excess weight, say goodbye to pesky perimenopause symptoms, and decrease inflammation in your body, which of course leads to decreased inflammaging. That's right, ladies, there are age-defying benefits as well. Oh, and of course, you have me at your fingertips for expert support so you never feel stuck or confused. I love supporting women on their weight loss journeys, and I've packaged up the award-winning Metabolic Balance Program with my signature hormone management system, giving you the Glow Protocol. This 12-week one-to-one coaching program is you and me, nailing down your health and weight loss goals, creating your personalized plan using your blood tests, a thorough health assessment, and your food preferences. And then we get started with me supporting you every step of the way. Even if you've tried everything, even if you have resistant weight and complex medical conditions, the power of personalized nutrition, mindset coaching, and my support is transformational. and gets results. And I'm not even exaggerating, even if I do say myself. So if you're ready to embrace feeling like your younger self again, lose excess weight, manage health conditions, and regain your confidence, you can just DM me at Susie Garden Wellness or email me hello@susiegarden.com, and I'll pop a link in the show notes. And tip number 7, if you start feeling that niggle like you might be getting sick, and I've had a few episodes since April where my throat's gotten just a little bit sore. I've felt my lymph glands in my neck just a little bit tender, and I've been very, very tired. Fatigue is a sign of your immune system fighting. It's actually, it's funny, but a lot of people think that a bug causes the tiredness, but it's actually your immune system producing chemicals that are preparing to fight whatever's invading your body. And that makes you tired. And one of the theories about that is that it forces you to rest so that your body can use your resources to fight an infection. So whenever I start getting sick like that, there's a couple of things that I do. One is I don't exercise. I made a big mistake probably 20 years ago now, where I was away. I was at on an actual work trip to Dunker Island in North Queensland, which was beautiful. And I was starting to get sick, and I played a game of squash. And I remember this vividly because I don't really play squash. So it was a lot of fun, and my body really hurt after I played it. There was quite a lot of stress on my body, and I ended up getting very, very sick. And I am convinced that if I hadn't played that game of squash, that I wouldn't have been anywhere near as sick as I was. And it's, again, one of those things, when we're getting sick, we want the body to be directing all the resources to fighting off the infection. So if you're putting your body under stress by doing some cardiovascular exercise, doing resistance training, anything really that's getting your heart rate up, and is requiring repair, that's going to divert resources away from your immune system. So if you're getting sick or you're starting to feel that niggle, just rest. Just rest. You'll be okay to miss a session at the gym. And also, you don't want to be spreading a bug around to other people if you are having a contagious sort of virus coming on. Another thing, if you've been with a crowd or someone that's sick, there are some nutrients that I think work really well to help boost your immune system or support your immune system, and that's vitamin C and zinc. They are often together. If you are looking at supplements, they are often together because the vitamin C helps the zinc work and absorb better. And high dose vitamin C, like I was talking to a client the other day, and they had vitamin C that they'd bought, and it was only 250 milligrams. It's a really low dose. So you would want to, if you're looking to buy some vitamin C, you want to be at least 1 gram or 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C in that product. So then you can have like 3 or 4 of them a day, and that will give you a really nice, reasonable dose of vitamin C to help support your immune system. And zinc as well, you're looking at probably a good 30 milligrams a day in your zinc, at least. 50 is great as well. We don't like to supplement more than 50 a day unless you've got a very specific issue in your body. 50 milligrams a day if you're feeling like if you're getting sick, or if you've been with a crowd, or you've been with someone who is sick, that's a real game changer. I do this all the time. If I go out to dinner with a bunch of people, as soon as I come home, zinc. The good thing about zinc too is it also helps metabolize and detoxify any alcohol if you've been drinking as well. So it's actually a really good one to take before you go to bed. Ideally with zinc, you take it with food, because some people can feel really nauseated from it. The same if you're taking something like echinacea, which I'll talk about shortly. Then yeah, definitely on after food. So I think that's 8 tips for prevention. I think that's pretty reasonable. Even if you take on board just a few of those, that should really help with keeping well during this cold and flu season. And if you get sick, there are some really important things as well. My number one is rest, rest, rest. If you are sick, don't lie in bed and do your emails, like actually rest. Even the act of just doing your emails, even if it's not physical work, it is still putting stress on your system. And if you have sick leave, take it. I don't get sick leave. So if I'm sick, I just have to kind of wear that. But so I'm very lucky. My immune system seems to be really good. But as I say, I look after it as well as a priority. So rest, rest, rest. Your body will feel tired and it's for a reason. So it forces you to rest. So do that. Something else I really recommend, especially for a respiratory tract infection, is steam inhalations. Because when you have a respiratory tract infection, obviously, sorry, this is going to get a bit gross. I'm going to talk about mucus, but if you've got a lot of mucus in your nasal passages, if they block, it increases your chances of getting a sinus infection because these passageways need to be draining. So if you have blocked nose or you've got some thick mucus coming out, highly recommend getting ahead of that and doing steam inhalations. You can do them 2 or 3 times a day. Very simple, just a bowl of very hot or boiling water. Be so careful about avoiding burning yourself. Okay, super important. But just like a bowl of boiling water, putting some essential oils in if you've got them. So nice ones like eucalyptus obviously is really nice. Tea tree oil can be nice too. Or if you don't have essential oils, don't worry about it. Just the steam itself is the primary objective. And you just can get a towel, make yourself a little cave and just slowly breathe in that beautiful, humid, hot steam that will just help open your nasal passages and keep them open so that they can drain, so that we reduce our chances of needing antibiotics. Now, if you need antibiotics, do take them. Definitely take them. But at the same time, get a really good quality probiotic to take around 2 hours after your antibiotic, okay? So that you are protecting your microbiome. What else do I want to say? Hydration, again, it just comes up all the time, right? So herbal tea is ideally fantastic. So echinacea tea is really nice to have. Ginger tea. Try and get the actual herbal teas, not the flavored teas. They're not going to have the same benefits, and some of them have added sugar or they have artificial flavorings and sweeteners and things in them, so they're not great. So just cutting up some fresh ginger and popping that in hot water is beautiful. Maybe a slice of lemon, maybe a little slice of turmeric. Don't go too heavy on the turmeric because it doesn't taste good, but I've made myself up little teas like that and it's just fantastic. Feels super fresh and really helps keeping the hydration up. If you have a bathtub, I highly recommend having a bath. A number of years ago, I had pneumonia and I was really sick. I didn't need to be hospitalized. I wasn't quite that sick, but oh my God, it was the worst. Feel very sorry for you if you've ever had it, or if you're listening to this and you have it now. It is the worst. Jump in the bath. The bath is the best because it's restful for a start. So we're working on our stress response. It is, and also you're resting when you're in the bath. I would get in the bath. It was the highlight of my day because I was so fatigued to get into the bath with a cup of echinacea tea, and you're getting the steam from the bath. You're getting the echinacea from the tea plus the steam from the tea as well. And so there's so many benefits from having a bath when you are sick. So really highly recommend that if you have a bath. In terms of foods that are really easy to digest are ideal. So things like soups, for example, stews, slow-cooked foods, things that are just really easy to eat, and particularly if you've got a sore throat, that can be very helpful, that everything is just easy to go down. And just eat to your capacity. Don't fill up on junk food. I know there's a real I guess you just desire to eat the junk food. I mean, when I used to get sick when I was, before I was in natural health, one of my treats when I was sick is I would buy a liter of diet Sprite. Because as a kid, you'd always get lemonade when you were a kid and you're sick, certainly in my house. And I didn't want the sugar of a full lemonade, so I'd buy diet Sprite. And I look back on that now and go, oh my God. So I'd sit there and drink a liter a day of diet Sprite, thinking that I was doing something good for myself, and it really wasn't, and just eating crap. So I really highly recommend that you stick to the whole foods. You don't force feed yourself, but really do try and eat things. Even if it means like you make a smoothie and you're just slowly sipping that over the course of a period of time, if you're really finding it hard to eat, if you've got no appetite, because your body really needs those nutrients. Let me see if there's anything else. I mean, you can use that time productively, that you're resting, you can sleep, you can read, you can just do things that bring you joy, but that aren't going to tax you, not going to stress you. So I think that's all I really want to say. I guess the only other thing would be taking your time to, if you're feeling better for one day, don't throw yourself back into the gym, because the body does take a little bit of time to recuperate. Like when I'm doing blood testing for the Glow protocol, if anyone has had like an acute illness, like a cold, I ask them to wait for 2 full weeks before getting their blood testing, because your blood will still have inflammatory markers. Your immune system will still be recovering from that bug or infection that you've had. So it's super important to ensure that you are resting even after you are getting better or feeling better. And when I say resting, I don't necessarily mean in bed, but just not throwing yourself back into lots of physical activity. So I hope that's been helpful. If you have other topics that you would like me to cover, please feel free to let me know. You can message me at Susie Garden Wellness on Instagram. If you're on Spotify, you should be able to message me through the app. I'd love to hear from you. So enjoy your week. If you are unwell, I hope some of these tips help you. I'll be back on Thursday with Q&A. Thanks so much for joining me today on the Ageless and Awesome podcast. If you liked today's episode, please make sure you click the little plus button if you're on Apple Podcasts, or the follow button if you're on Spotify, so that you get each new episode delivered to you every week. If you like free stuff, then head to the show notes and click the link to receive my free Radiant Reset Hormone Detox Guide for perimenopausal women. Or if you'd like to continue the discussion, head over to Instagram and DM me at Susie Garden Wellness. I'd love to connect with you.